Okay, Mr. Bynum, would you raise your right hand, please? You do swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, sir.
You can put your hand down. Just state your full name, please.
Larry Keith Bynum Jr.
Go ahead, Ms. Denke.
Thank you. Mr. Bynum, I want to start first with, are you currently employed?
No, ma'am.
Did you leave your position at the Department of Corrections?
Yes, ma'am.
Was that your choice or their choice?
My choice.
And why did you leave that job?
I didn't like the way I was being treated.
Your current plans for the summer in terms of your employment and the care of Jasmine are what?
Actually, I thought about doing just like DoorDash for a while because I do have the two kids that'll both be doing some type of summer school. So I'll have some type of income and be able to take them both.
Let's go back though. When you were working at the Department of Corrections, did you have a typical shift that you worked?
Well, my shift has changed twice because when I was originally got hired, I was a CNA and then I moved to the kitchen. So the hours switched there. And then when COVID hit the prison, the hours had jumped a lot and it's not like I can go, no, I don't want to work.
Sure. So let's start with when you were a CNA, what were the hours?
6 a.m. to 6 p.m. or 6:30 a.m. to 6:30 p.m. One of those.
And how long did you work those hours?
11 months. 10.
And was it 5 days a week, 7 days a week?
Oh my God, it's been so long. I want to say 5.
Okay. And then when you shifted to the kitchen, what were your hours?
4 a.m. to noon. Actually, it was noon to 6. Then it got switched to 4 a.m. to noon.
Okay. And how long did you work those hours?
2 years. Yeah, almost 2 years.
So if you were working on a weekend when you had Jasmine, what time would you typically get home?
12:20.
Okay.
12:30, depending on the traffic.
And then you would be with her until she went to bed that night?
Yeah.
And then at some point would go back to work?
Yeah.
Okay. Where is it that Jasmine sleeps at night if you're working?
Well, if she's staying with my mom, she sleeps on her trundle bed. And if she's staying with Kim, she sleeps in the bed with Alexis.
Okay. And why would she be back and forth between your mom and with Kim?
It's her choice, depending on where she's in the mood to go. That's pretty much it. There's no real.
Are you with her until she goes to sleep?
Yeah, most of the time, yes. I'd be lying if I said all the time.
And does she enjoy spending time with her sister?
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you, on the weekends that you have Jasmine, do you also typically have time with your other daughter?
They're together.
And what is her name?
Alexis.
I'm sorry?
Whenever I had 90% of the time, if I got one, I got both. Her name is Alexis.
They're very close?
Yes, ma'am.
And they're very close in age as well. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
You were staying in a hotel for a period of time too. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Why were you staying in a hotel?
Because they moved a lot of us there because of fear of catching COVID. What the heck? They moved a lot of us there due to fear of catching COVID. Then I caught COVID.
You did have COVID. Did you end up hospitalized as a result?
Yeah, for almost 2 weeks.
Did you notify Ms. Clark that you or Ms. Mackey or Alexis had been exposed to COVID?
Yes, ma'am. I called and I text, but the main one I sent it was in a text, and I went through a big spiel or whatever.
Was that before Jasmine would have gone to school on?
Yes.
Okay.
March
Did Ms.
26th.
Clark, I'm sorry, did Ms. Clark send her to school anyway?
Yes, ma'am.
What did you do in response to that?
I called the school.
And they kicked Jasmine out because she was obviously a significant risk at that point?
Yes, ma'am.
When you were staying at the hotel, was Jasmine sleeping at the hotel with you?
No, near like the last month or so I was there, depending on what we did. And if we all fell asleep, they did, but I didn't use my sleep app. So it was whatever. I didn't use my sleep machine.
Okay, so why can't you sleep? I mean, you've already had COVID. Why can't you sleep in the same house as your daughter with the CPAP machine?
Originally, the doctor was like, if anyone is at your house, you can't use your sleep machine. And I don't know the technical terms, but if you use your sleep machine, it goes in the air. COVID is in the air when you have your sleep machine. So actually, I really don't use it to this day because I'm paranoid.
So if anyone else is sleeping around you in your house, you don't use the sleep machine?
Haven't used it in a while. I gave my whole family COVID, so it's not something I'm trying to, anyways.
The work schedule that you had before you quit the Department of Corrections had you going in after Jasmine went to sleep at night,
Yeah, 4 a.m.
and then had you home by noon
Yeah, a little after,
or
but yes.
12:30. Sorry. So
Well,
you were
no,
able to spend the vast bulk of the time that she was awake with her. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, we've heard Ms. Clark testify that she wasn't seeing you on FaceTime when she would FaceTime Jasmine, so you weren't there. Is that accurate?
To an extent, but it's only accurate because a lot of times she would call if I was going to get something to eat or I ran an errand or blah, blah, blah. So she would then have to FaceTime Kimberly or my mom. But other than that, she FaceTimed me.
And you would be the one then giving the phone to Jasmine?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. We heard testimony from Ms. Clark as well that she took Jasmine to the doctors and your medical insurance had been canceled.
Yes,
Is that
ma'am.
right?
Yes, ma'am.
Is Jasmine double covered? So Ms. Clark also has health insurance on her?
Yes, ma'am.
So there wasn't an issue with her getting treatment or having that covered by insurance?
No, Miss Clark has insurance on her.
Okay. We've also heard that your mother's home is a 2-bedroom apartment or 2-bedroom. Is that correct?
No, it's a 3-bedroom.
Okay. There are still a lot of people there.
That is true. Yes, ma'am.
Where does Jasmine sleep?
Her and Alexis sleep in a trundle. One bed's here and the other one rolls out, so they sleep like that. I don't know what it's called.
So it's like a bunk bed, but it
rolls
in
in.
and out?
Brundle,
Okay.
trundle, something like that.
Okay. And do the two of them share their own room, or are there other kids in that room?
No, just them two.
Okay. And when she is sleeping at Ms. Mackey's house, who's in that room?
She shares a bed with her sister.
Okay. So are there other places that she typically sleeps other than, I mean, excluding vacations, things like that?
No.
How long has Ms. Mackey been in Jasmine's life?
Pretty much since the beginning.
And how long has your mother been in Jasmine's life?
Since the beginning.
Do you use any other caregivers besides those two?
Periodically, I will ask my oldest child, who is 21 now. For the most part, no, unless she go, like I said, unless she stays the night at a friend's house or something. But for majority of caregiving, or however you want to phrase it, it's my mom and Kim.
Okay. Are you making plans for Jasmine for the 10 weeks that you have her during the summer?
Yes, but those got adjusted. Originally, I was trying to get her into Y-Day camp, and I don't know how that's going to work, because when I was able to go speak to the school myself, they reiterated a bunch of things that I wasn't informed on yet when I went to Jasmine's school. So now I'm trying to adjust that schedule and get them both to their summer school.
Okay. Have you had some difficulties in communicating with the Lenawee school?
Yes. One of them was finally resolved the last time I went in there. I think it was on the 3rd. I showed the principal how I have tried to email the teacher, and it would never go through. I would get the, for those who have an iPhone, I would get the red light, yellow light, green light saying it never went through. So I talked to her, asked her a few questions. I asked her, I said, is she mad at me or not like me? And she looked at the email and found out the way she sent it. And you know, when you send somebody an email, you just click on it, you can send it back. It wouldn't work. It was missing a letter in her name. So that was part of the reason we didn't communicate as regularly as I would like, because every email I tried to respond came back.
Okay.
So, but we got that fixed on the 3rd.
And when you had the opportunity to meet with the teachers, you said that's changed your plans for the summer?
Yeah. I tried to go see what Miss Clark informed me about. I was worried about some of the, like the whole medicine thing and this is that. And I went and talked to them. I went to talk to her teacher, her principal, and her educational therapist. And they told me.
Objection. Hearsay.
It's not offered for the truth of the matter asserted. It's offered to show why the effect on the hearer and why he's doing what he's doing.
That's not at all. It's offered for the exact statement that they're about to make.
I won't make it. I went and talked to those
He's
three.
explaining why he's making different plans after meeting with them.
He's saying he's about to testify to what they said.
I can allow it for the limited purpose that it's being offered for.
Go ahead, Mr. Bynum.
Oh, sorry. From the conversation the three of us had, it seems that we might be moving Jasmine to the 1st grade, but it better if she does do some type of summer schooling to reassure and build upon and keep going what she had already improved on.
Did you attempt to work with Ms. Clark to have a meeting with the school to talk about whether or not she should go on to 1st grade or get held back?
Yeah. And then when she informed me of the meeting that they had, I went again and set up another one on the day Jazzy graduated from kindergarten.
Okay. Did you talk to the kindergarten teacher about Jasmine needing to get tested for ADHD?
I asked them if they had suggested that to Miss Clark, and she responded to me, no.
Again,
Ms. Clark testified specifically to that, so I would say they opened up the door to that particular testimony.
the
Judge.
door of hearsay.
She testified, the kindergarten teacher told me that she thought it would be a good idea to get Jasmine tested for
Your Honor, if we
ADHD.
wanted to question the kindergarten teacher, we should call the kindergarten teacher about what she did or didn't say, how she did or didn't present it.
In any event, both statements as to what both Ms. Clark's testimony as to what the kindergarten teacher said or didn't say, and Mr. Bynum's testimony as to what the kindergarten teacher did or didn't say, they're both hearsay. So I won't put any weight to either one.
Have you experienced the kinds of problems with Jasmine that Ms. Clark described?
No.
Has it been fairly consistent throughout the time that the two of you have been parenting your daughter that Ms. Clark has had more difficulty with her behaviors than you have?
Yes.
I'm sorry, I'm going to go back to your residence at your mom's. Does Jasmine have room to play? Is there room outside to play during the summer? Is that an environment that you feel is appropriate for your daughter?
Yes. Front yard, backyard, room to play.
And why are you currently staying at your mom's house?
Since I left my job, but another reason I left my apartment is because I was paying almost $1,000 a month for an apartment, and I can get a house for that. So my objective is to get a house.
Okay. You said that you've switched your plans because originally you were looking at having both girls in the Y camp. But now you want to try and do something different after your meeting with the school. What is it that you're going to try and do differently?
Finagle both, make sure they both get on their tutoring sessions, their Zoom sessions. The principal, the teacher, and the educational lady gave me some sites and things to follow up on. So I'm going to try and do that as well.
Okay. Do you work with Jasmine on school-related issues?
Yes.
And do her other caregivers also do that?
Yes.
Do Jasmine and Alexis enjoy working on school things together?
Sometimes.
Two busy 5-year-olds?
Yeah.
Okay.
But for the most part, they do okay.
Judge, I can go through my exhibits now and hit some of the other points. I wanted to try and focus on the highlights that the court had indicated you wanted to hear about.
Let's have Mr. Stimson cross-examine Mr. Bynum on what he's testified to so far.
Mr. Bynum,
Yes, sir.
You testified that your typical hours were, for the last 2 years, were from when to when?
They went from 6 to 6:30, 11:30 to 6:30, and 4 a.m. to noon, all 3 shifts.
So the last 2 years, though, however, you've been doing a 4 a.m. to noon shift. Is that correct?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
And so if you were to be working over, meaning past your normal release time, it would be afternoon. It'd be like 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock or whatever time they released you. Is that fair to say?
Yeah.
So when I look at your employment records over the last year, you're pretty regularly working overtime.
Yes, and you can also see that they had me at a different prison because they were so short-staffed. So there's nothing I can't say I'm not coming.
I'm not suggesting you can tell the Department of Corrections any more than I can. But you worked 8 hours of overtime on January 2nd. That would have put you from what you would have said 4 a.m. to almost 8 p.m. on a day you would have had Jazzy. So you wouldn't have seen her that day, really. You worked again the next Sunday, another 8 hours of overtime. So you would have worked 4 a.m. to again 8 p.m. on the Sunday you would have had Jazzy, right?
Yes, sir.
And then again the next weekend, and again the next weekend, again the next weekend, you worked overtime. About 8 hours every weekend that you had Jazzy, you worked 8 hours of overtime each Saturday and Sunday.
Yes, sir. That's what's in front of you. Yes, sir.
So you didn't really have any time to spend with Jazz since you worked from 4 a.m. to almost 8 p.m. every weekend.
During that period of time. Yes, sir.
But you never told Miss Clark that you would have no time with your daughter?
I never told Miss Clark what?
That you wouldn't be there for any of your visitations?
I wouldn't be there. What am I supposed to be telling her? I don't understand.
You'd be telling her that you're not living in
That
your
I worked a
apartment.
lot?
that you worked all the time that Jazz was supposed to be there.
Yes, I did work a lot.
And you worked all the time that Jazz was supposed to be with you.
Yes, sir. You are correct.
So she really didn't spend any time with you.
During those times, yes, sir.
Well, it's almost every weekend from pretty much the fall through
during
the
the
spring
whole
when you
COVID?
quit.
Yeah,
It's almost
the
every
whole
weekend, sir. It's almost every
Yes, sir.
weekend.
Yeah, you can't both talk at the same time.
Yes, sir. I apologize, sir.
So you worked almost overtime almost every weekend that Jazz was supposed to be with you from the fall of 2020 till you quit your job 2 weeks ago.
No, because we hired people and they reduced the hours. So about the last 5 or 6 months, they started cutting back on hours. And my checks and hours sheet should also show that as well. So during the peak of COVID at the prison, you are correct. I did work a lot and I was around any of my family. Yes, sir.
So until about March of this year.
I'm not looking directly at it. February, March, somewhere in there.
So you really didn't have your daughter with you from September through March of 2020 to 2021 because you were working.
And I was sick. And we're not allowed to be anyone. I mean, you're right. But due to COVID, yes, sir.
It was, all right. So you gave up your apartment because you weren't staying there. So she didn't have a place that was her own. Is that right?
Yes, sir. I gave up my apartment.
You said that was to buy a house so you could save money.
Yes, because I was paying a lot of money.
Then you quit your job. How are you saving money if you quit your job?
I had difficulties at my job for the way I was being treated. So it was safer to quit. You can also check my work history. I don't go long without a job. So, and also due to the fact that summer vacation and I can spend time with both of them and help them with their learning that I wasn't informed on, it kind of worked out.
It worked out right before this hearing that you quit your job, so you had plenty of flexibility.
Yes, sir.
But that's not a sustainable model, fair to say.
Was not a sustainable model.
You being unemployed.
Being unemployed? No, sir.
You can't do that forever, is what I'm getting at. You're going to have to go get a job.
Yes, sir.
And will it again affect your ability to see your daughter?
I hope COVID doesn't hit again, sir. I truly do. For those of us who don't have the luxury of whatever it is that you're trying to insinuate, I hope it never comes back around and then I probably won't have that problem. Thank you.
Did you let Ms. Clark know that you weren't there?
That I was aware.
With your daughter for pretty much 4 months.
Ms. Clark knew. We do communicate enough for Ms. Clark to know where Jasmine is and what's going on.
Sir, that's not my question. Did you tell Ms. Clark that you weren't at home and
that I was
Jasmine
working
was with others?
Yes.
Sir, let me ask the question all the way out, if you don't mind, please, because we're trying to create a good, clean record. Did
Yes,
you
sir.
tell Ms. Clark that your daughter would not be with you, that she would be with other people for these weekends that you were supposed to be exercising parenting time?
Yes and no. If I was required to, if they mandated me, I didn't stop in the middle of mandation and go, oh, wait, let me call Erin to make sure she knows that Jasmine's not with me. No, I did not.
They're not all mandated. You volunteered for some. Is that true?
Nope, you can check that too. Most of them were mandated. We were down 6 people in the kitchen. Yes, sir.
And you were down 6 people for months.
About 2 of them, almost 3. And I went to a different prison for 2.5 months.
Did you tell Miss Clark that her daughter would be at an ex-girlfriend's house or your mom's house or where she would be?
Yes, because those are the 2 numbers that she has. And it's not just a girl's house. That's her grandmother. And
I'm not trying to pass aspersions on the grandma's ability to care for her grandkid. That's not where I'm headed with this. I'm asking whether you communicated at all to Miss Clark that Jasmine would be at this place or that place at any given time when she wasn't with you.
Yes, Miss Clark knew the only 2 places Jasmine goes is my mom's or Kimberly.
So you told her, you text her, and you can produce those texts.
You asked me, did I communicate that to her? I told you yes. Now you're asking me, did I text that to her? Is that 2 separate questions?
Well, I'm I'm asking you, how did you communicate it to her? Did you call her? Did you text her? Did you email her that Jazz will be at my mom's tonight, Jazz will be at my girlfriend's tonight?
I don't have a girlfriend. And if you want specifics, no, I did not tell her every night where Jasmine would be. That's a totally different question than what you asked me.
So you didn't tell her any time where she was. You just assumed because she knew that she'd be at one of these two places.
I didn't tell her at any time. No, no, because I didn't know every time I had Jasmine, I had to clarify where Jazzy was every time I had her. So you are correct. No, I did not.
Did you know where Jazzy was?
Who are we talking about again? What's her name?
When you were gone, did you know where your daughter was? Did you know which house she was at? Or
Yes, sir. Okay. The only time I don't know where my daughter is when she's with her mother.
Well, and you call pretty frequently on the weekends that she's with Miss Clark. Is that true?
No.
No, you don't call?
No,
You
sir.
said you don't call frequently. You said no, then you said you don't call. I mean, those are two different questions.
Do you call her?
No, I try not to. It is a very rare thing that I call Miss Clark.
When you do, Miss Clark has Jazz call you back. Fair enough?
Not all the time.
A fair amount of the time.
Mm-mm.
You disagree?
Yes.
How many times have you dropped Jazz off to school on Monday morning? You personally?
Only a couple.
So in all of the school year, a handful of times you dropped her off?
Yeah, until we came up with rotating schedules. Yes, sir. But you also have to remember when the court order was put in, I was a SENA. I had regular days off. I've been schedules switched 2 more times.
But you've been in the same 4 a.m. to noon schedule for the last 2 years.
And that also just turned into a rotating schedule about 8 months ago.
I'm sorry, you've been on the 4 a.m. to noon. Your previous testimony was that you've been on the 4 a.m. to noon shift for the last
for almost
2 years.
2 years. Yes, sir.
Okay. So the last year of school, the only year of school that Jazz has had.
Yes, sir.
A handful, 2 times you dropped her off to school?
No, more than 2, because that's what I was trying to tell you. I'm on a rotating schedule. So this week, if I had Saturday, Sunday, Monday off, I'd take her that Monday. But the next weekend, I would have Sunday, Monday, Tuesday off, then Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So prior to the rotating schedule, no, there was only a couple times that I'd taken her. But since the rotating schedule, the time that I took her on Monday has increased, if that answers your question.
Would you say 4 times in the last school year you've dropped her off to school?
More than 4, yeah.
How many times? 5?
Sure.
Okay, so about 5, give or take 1, of the how many times were you supposed to drop her off? 20, 30, 40?
Judge, I'm
How
going
many
to
do we
object
have?
to the supposed to drop her off. It was his responsibility to get her to school every Monday, and she got there, as the court could see from the attendance record that was stipulated to. She got there on her Mondays, on time.
I'll withdraw the question and ask a different question. You asked to drop her off on Monday so that you had that time to spend with her, that commute. Is that true?
Yes, I'm assuming due to the schedule I had at that time. Yes, sir.
Well, July of 2020, COVID was in full effect, and you asked to be able to drive her to school, and you didn't drive her to school, but maybe 5 times.
Yes, sir.
Where do you currently work?
Is that true? I'm unemployed. I thought
Do
you
you
said
have do you have any health insurance? You pay
Yes.
Cobra? Okay. What's your health insurance?
I'm waiting to call back to hear a call back from Medicaid.
Okay, so you're signing up for Medicaid?
Yes, until I get something. Yes, sir.
Okay. Do you pay rent?
At my mom's house? No, not right now.
No further questions.
So, as I indicated before Ms. Danke began her questioning, the thing that concerned me most was Mr. Bynum's work schedule, and how much of his parenting time he was actually able to avail himself of, since he's no longer working that schedule. Frankly, I'm concerned not with what happened for the period of COVID when he's mandated these extra hours. I'm concerned about going forward. Going forward, he's fully available to exercise all of his parenting time. There isn't anything else I've heard that convinces me that I should do anything to change parenting time, except since there seems to be lack of clarity whether Mr. Bynum gets 10 consecutive weeks under this agreement. I don't think he should get 10 consecutive weeks. I don't think Ms. Clark should have to go 10 weeks without seeing her child. Mr. Bynum doesn't go 10 weeks without seeing his child, even though he has weekends. That part troubles me. Since there's 12 weeks in a summer, his time should be broken up, I would say, in 3 segments. So 3 weeks, 3, 3 and 4, or 3, 4 and 3, or 4, 3 and 3, whatever it is, so that Ms. Clark gets to see her child without having to go 10 weeks without seeing her. That's the only change, based on the testimony I've heard today, that I'm inclined to make.
What about the request for the overpayment of support? Or to have that refunded?
I realized the parties agreed when they did their stipulation that there wouldn't be any child support. Clearly, that was a huge benefit to Mr. Bynum, because he would have been paying child support during that time period. I think he's gotten enough of a break that I don't think there should be any repayment of the child support.
Judge, I'm not sure why you think he would have been paying support during that time period, given the difference in the cost of health insurance and those expenses that they consider.
I'm just assuming. I guess I really don't know what their respective wages are, but if he's working that kind of overtime, he would have had a significant amount of income during a time period when Ms. Clark has the majority of the parenting time. I haven't done a calculation. I'm just assuming, based upon that he would have been paying some level of child support.
Your Honor would have been correct. When we originally agreed to this, there were some assumptions that were made, or representations that were made, that were later found out not to be fairly accurate. And the $80,000+ a year that Mr. Bynum was making would have resulted likely in a large amount of child support being paid. Ms. Clark earns about 50, he earned about 80. Even if they kept 50-50, 182.5, she had healthcare costs, he had healthcare costs, and there would have been significant child support. We did not seek it. We're not trying to seek it. Our biggest problem has been he wasn't exercising until all of a sudden right now we find out, like a week ago or 2 weeks ago, that he quit his job right before our hearing, so that we are clear that the adjustment makes no sense. But he's going to have to start a job again. He's going to have to go to work again. And that's part of the reason we're really asking that this Sunday overnight to Monday during school seems a bit cumbersome. He hasn't been exercising that aspect. He hasn't been doing it. MCL 722.27A7 talks about the factors specifically that the court wants to look at in adjusting parenting time, and factors E, F, and G, the inconvenience and burden on the child, whether the parent can reasonably be expected to exercise it, and then actually whether the parent has been exercising it, are all 3 factors that clearly fall. That we would ask that court to at least open the door and reconsider the thought of that Sunday night. We understand the rest of it. We somewhat get that point, and I don't think she really wants to take too much away. She thinks that perhaps the adjustment we're asking for is the best case, but understands that there's probably not a lot of harm to Jasmine by maintaining a lot more summertime with Mr. Bynum or the weekend schedules. That Sunday night, her position's always been that that's really not been good for her at all. And that has a minimal effect. We're really talking about a few hours of time rather than the overnight count.
it allows him to put his daughter to bed at night, which is a big deal.
He hasn't done in a year.
And again, if I had heard that Mr. Bynum was continuing with this same schedule, I likely would have made some adjustment. He's not. This is the deal that the parties were able to mediate and achieve. I haven't heard enough today to convince me to change it.
Thank you.
Ms. Clark
and I
had,
think
I'm sorry, I thought you were done.
No, go ahead.
Ms. Clark had picked some weeks this summer, so I'm not, based on the court's ruling, do you want Mr. Clark or Mr. Bynum to go back through and pick some segments, or honor what Ms. Clark has already selected?
Ms. Clark, do you have planned vacations?
If her weeks that she's picked end up breaking up the time so that she's not going more than 3 or 4 weeks without seeing her child, and those work for everybody. And granted, there's nothing in the order that says when his 10 weeks fall. So
Right.
let's get it fixed. Let's get it fixed now so we don't have to come back. Ms. Clark, go ahead.
We do have a vacation planned the week of Father's Day. Mr. Bynum was aware of that, and that was, we're taking my whole family camping. So if we can just stick with that week, and then moving forward, we can do 3 weeks in a row, that'll be fine.
Does he still get his Father's Day?
Yes, absolutely. We alternate Father's Day. So he'll get her in the morning, and then I'll pick her up at night.
You don't alternate Father's Day.
They have it, like the beginning part of the day, they go with one parent, the other part of the day go with the other. So that's what I understand.
Like, he still gets his Father's Day. We arranged that she would come home on the 18th. We were meeting in Chelsea, and then on Father's Day, we were meeting in Chelsea for him to have Father's Day.
And so the weeks that
Are-
you've identified that you wanted, Ms. Clark, are what?
The week of June, so it'd be the 18th to the 26th, right, Larry? That's what we talked about?
hmm
And you guys are both okay with it?
Well, I missed that earlier when she said she didn't pick them. They're picked right here. It's also July 9th through July 16th.
And those work for everybody? I realize that results in a longer break later, but Ms. Clark, if those are the 2 weeks you want, and Mr. Bynum, you're okay with them, that solves the problem.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Judge.
All right. And like I said, I'm not going to order her to refund child support when in fact, Mr. Bynum, from everything that I see, has been given a significant break in child support.
Judge, do you want Mr. Bynum to pick his summer weeks, so those 3 and 4 week blocks, by April 15th, starting with next year, so that she's got that notice in advance?
Would it make sense, Susan, just to go 3-1, 3-1 unless they agree otherwise?
Well, because it's 10 weeks, it ends up being 1 week is 4 weeks. So that would depend on
The
what he's
last
got
part would be
planned.
4. I mean,
If it would be, well, it might be that he's got a vacation in July that he wants to do 4 weeks in July.
that would be the other, that would be unless they agree otherwise. That's what I'm saying.
I was just
Yeah,
saying,
yeah.
he should pick his 10 weeks, honoring the courts, nothing longer than a 4 week block. So 4, 3, and 3, or 3, 3, and 4. And notify her by April 15th so that she's got those dates. Just like most parents who get the summer parenting time have to pick their weeks.
With the understanding and the strong encouragement that if there is a need to adjust that, regardless of what the order says, be reasonable.
Mhm.
I mean, talk to each other. What goes around comes around. It's okay to adjust these things. for life circumstances, but if you can't agree, it's always a good idea to have it written down.
I guess that's why I
So
was,
3-1-3-1 sounds like a good plan to me.
thank you, Mayor.
All right, then who's going to prepare this order? Ms. Denke?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, thank you, everyone.